Okay, I hope you all are hearing me. Ayana, I was able to send you the request, so please tell me if you got it. Um, I'm waiting. Ayana, I sent you the request. Right. Yeah, I should have turned my phone in the other direction. I could do that. Right. Yeah. um,
We are
we
here, thank
finally,
God.
thank God. I want to say thank you to everyone for their patience. Thank you. And I had my friend here helping me. Okay. Good evening to everyone tuned in to our first live stream session. This session has been long overdue. There were many challenges, as you can see, that came up unexpectedly while trying to gain a prospective person to educate us on this particular topic. You're hearing me? Okay.
Loud and clear.
I want to say thank you to Rachel for being a guide there for me through the birth of this group, Women Empowering Women. Thanks also to Kimberlina Churan, Natalie Joseph, Shava Samuel, and everyone else who continue to show the group support. I see you. Thank you. My most special thank you goes to Mrs. Lisa Bigfoot Knights, who has been there with me persistently and passionately trying to help me find a candidate for us this evening. And thanks to her, we were able to locate Miss Shirlene Kamiziong and Miss Ayana Williams. Miss Kamiziong, unfortunately, won't be able to make it with us here this evening. However, no loss, we have Ayana. A little history on Miss Ayana. Ms. Ayana Williams is a district health visitor currently stationed at the Point Fortin Health Center. She attained her Bachelor of Science degree in nursing education at the University of the West Indies. She has been a registered nurse for the past 15 years. So the topics she will be covering with us this evening would be on PMS, perimenopause, and menopause. All right, I chose this particular topic to raise awareness for all women to understand the hormonal changes that can affect our lives. As women, we will all go through these changes, and some of us may experience more severe symptoms than others. However, we're all rocking in the same boat. So it's important for us to be educated on this particular process. With all being said, I invite Ayana, and I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us this evening.
Thank you, Crystal. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for your
Yes.
patience. Thanks for understanding all the technical difficulties this evening. It's good to be here. I'm so sorry that Ms. Commission cannot be here with us, but I'm hoping that my little 15 years of experience could help and answer all questions as best as I can this evening. So without further ado, I think we need to begin from the beginning. Crystal, are you able to share screen with respect to the PowerPoint?
I won't be able to share my screen. I'm currently using my cell phone because I was getting some problems on the laptop earlier time.
All right. All right. So I have my PowerPoint open on my laptop here. So I'll just begin from the beginning, right? So I'm starting with premenstrual syndrome. So premenstrual syndrome is a combination of physical and emotional symptoms that many women experience about a week or two before their period. So most women, over 90% of us, we say that we experience some sort of PMS symptoms. For some of us, these symptoms may be so severe that we can miss work, we could miss school, and some women are not even bothered by it at all. Mostly, PMS affects women in their 30s. Researchers think that PMS happens in the days after ovulation because estrogen and progesterone levels begin falling dramatically if you are not pregnant. PMS symptoms go away within a few days after a woman's period starts as hormone levels begin rising again.
What you said there about PMS, I'm glad that you touched on what PMS actually means, because what I realized recently is that a lot of people commonly mistake a PMS as the same thing as having your period. You know, a lot of people don't know that it's the time before your period or the period before your period.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So thank you for for highlighting that. So I'm so sorry. I have this lovely diagram, this lovely photo of effects of PMS on the body. So in light of the fact that you all cannot see, I'll just call out some of the symptoms, both emotional and physical, so that you all can have an idea of how it affects women. So physically, women during PMS can experience headaches, fatigue, poor sleep, difficulty concentrating. You can have acne, oily skin, tender or swollen breasts. You can have either constipation or diarrhea. So those are the physical symptoms. With respect to the emotional symptoms, mood swings, well, everybody, we could testify to mood swings. Low mood, increased anxiety, crying easily, food cravings, and along with the cravings, we have abdominal bloating, which all of us are familiar with. We can experience menstrual cramps and also decreased libido or sex drive. So those are the emotional symptoms of PMS.
Right. So therefore, we could say that these conditions have the potential to alter our way of life, you know, to prevent us from living a normal life.
Definitely alter our mood, alter everything, and cause us to not be normal or normal, as we say, as we would like to be, right? So the next question is, what can I do at home? Now that we know what PMS is, we know what the symptoms, both emotional and physical, are. What can I do at home? Another question could be, what can I do at home to relieve my PMS symptoms? So you may not be quite impressed by what I have to say because it's things that we know we're supposed to do, but we don't really do. But I'm still going to share regular aerobic physical activity or regular exercise throughout the month. So I would like to say at least 4 times for the week. Exercise can help with symptoms such as depression, difficulty concentrating, and fatigue. Because we know when we go out and we exercise and 30 minutes there, and I'm not talking about today at work. I heard one of the nursing students said, all this walking up and down on the corridor I'm doing to carry notes from point A to point B, I exercise. That's actually not exercise. And I think we all know that. But regular physical activity like a walk in your neighborhood, a simple brisk walk in your neighborhood is what I refer to for half an hour long. This is what I refer to with regular physical activity. And you're not only doing it to just prevent you from feeling some type of way with PMS. Remember, physical activity helps release great endorphins. It improves your mood. If you feel that you have weight loss goals, like all of us as women, some of us might want to lose 5 pounds, some of us might want to lose 20 pounds, it helps. So some physical activity, we need to increase our physical activity. It doesn't have to be gymming, just a simple walk around your neighborhood. The next one is choose healthy foods most of the time. I like how this was stated because I like to be honest. I had KFC for lunch today. So most of the time, choose healthy foods. Avoid foods and drinks with caffeine, salt and sugar in the 2 weeks before your period, and this may lessen your PMS symptoms. So let me go over that again. Avoiding foods and drinks with caffeine, salt, and sugar in the 2 weeks before your period may lessen many of your PMS symptoms. Get enough sleep. We're talking about that all the time. Some of us, we can't even function properly on work when we don't get enough sleep, and it affects our PMS symptoms too, of course. So they're saying try to get at least 8 hours of sleep each night. Lack of sleep is linked to depression and anxiety and can make PMS symptoms such as moodiness even worse. We have to find healthy ways to cope with stress. So talk with your friends, write a journal. Some women also find yoga, massage, or meditation helpful. So I'm a journal writer. I would journal how I feel. I'm a praying person. I love to pray. So we have to find our own unique ways of coping with stress. Of course, don't smoke. In one large study, women who smoked reported more PMS symptoms and worse PMS symptoms than women did not smoke. A word to the one.
You said that some people experience worse PMS symptoms. One of the things that that I saw while reading up on PMS as well is that as we approach premenopause, our symptoms tend to worsen, right? So it moves from PMS to PMDD, which is a more serious condition in terms of experiencing symptoms. And this condition usually causes depression.
Yes. Yeah. And we like to pay a lot of lip service to mental health. We just use it as a word when somebody commits suicide or something tragic happens. But we have ways in which we can prevent and move from being over the cliff, so to speak, where mental health issues, depression, and other things are concerned. There are things that we can actually do to prevent ourselves from reaching to that point. So my next heading, should I take vitamins or minerals to treat PMS symptoms? Maybe. Studies show that certain vitamins and minerals may help relieve some PMS symptoms. So you have to talk to your doctor before taking any supplement, but I will share some that help and can help. Studies have found benefits for calcium. So we know as women that as we increase in age, we lose bone density, hence osteoporosis and other issues affecting women. So studies show that calcium can help reduce some PMS symptoms, such as fatigue, cravings, and depression. Calcium is found in foods such as milk, cheese, and yogurt. Some foods such as orange juice, cereal, and bread have calcium added, which is fortified calcium. And you can also take a calcium supplement. So if you are anything like me, I'm a nurse, but I don't like to take tablets at all. I cannot stand swallowing those things. So you can have your calcium in your food, in the foods that you eat, both fortified and naturally occurring calcium. And this is what would help with our symptoms, such as the fatigue, cravings, and depression. Vitamin B6 can also help with PMS symptoms, including moodiness, irritability, forgetfulness, bloating, and anxiety. So vitamin B6 can be found in foods such as fish, poultry, potatoes, fruit, but not citrus fruits, and fortified cereals. And you can also take it again as a dietary supplement. So for those who prefer to have, you just pop a pill and get your vitamin B6, that also is available to you. And I have 2 more to share with you. So we have found results with calcium and vitamin B6, but we also have mixed results. Scientists have found mixed results with respect to magnesium. Magnesium may help relieve some PMS symptoms, including migraines. So if you get menstrual migraines, you can talk to your doctor about whether you need more magnesium. Magnesium is found in green leafy vegetables such as spinach, as well as in nuts, whole grains, and fortified cereals. And again, we have, if you feel too, if the doctor can prescribe a supplement for you that has magnesium. And we also have polyunsaturated fatty acids, or basically omega-3 and omega-6. Studies show that taking a supplement with 1 to 2 grams of polyunsaturated fatty acids may help reduce cramps and other PMS symptoms. Good sources of omega-3 and 6 include flaxseed, nuts, fish, and green leafy vegetables. So I'm not sending you to go and burst your budget, so to speak. And remember, everybody right now is quite budget conscious because of financial constraints. So it is really about more conscientious eating as a way to target those symptoms that make us uncomfortable during the 2 weeks before the period known as the PMS time. So I hope that I was able to shed some light on what PMS is, the symptoms, and how we could treat it. We could treat it naturally. We can change the way we eat, change our lifestyle habits, get enough sleep, get your exercise, do not smoke. So we have a few things that we can do to help us with PMS.
So,
Crystal, if it's okay with you, go ahead, you go ahead.
Basically, with all the fruits and vegetables you told us about there, basically you're telling us that our diet plays a major role in influencing, relieving our PMS symptoms.
Most definitely a huge role, because we take all the magnesium, the omega-3 and 6. It's also present in foods. So if we eat right, we won't experience, or we would not experience such a severity of the symptoms that come along with
And
PMS.
one thing I love to do is drink coffee.
Everybody has their kryptonite.
I love to drink coffee, but I also suffer from anemia, and they tell us that, caffeine has proven to restrict the absorption of coffee, of iron in our food. Sorry.
Correct.
So it will be best to cut back.
Yes. cut back, right? So I'm not saying totally thing like if but you could cut back a little bit, especially in the 2 weeks.
So you need to find other alternatives such as green tea and herbal teas and stuff like that.
Yes. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to interject or stop me, as it were, and I will try to answer you as best as I can. So we are moving on now to perimenopause. What is perimenopause? This is a transitional time around menopause. Menopause is when a woman's periods stop. It's marked by changes in the menstrual cycle, along with other physical and emotional symptoms. So just like with PMS, perimenopause also has its own physical and emotional symptoms. I highlighted that the timing for perimenopause, remember we said for PMS, it occurs 2 weeks before the menstrual period.
Right.
Perimenopause, that is a transitional time around menopause, can last from 2 to 10 years.
Wow.
Yes. So during this time, let me tell you what happens. Your body releases eggs less regularly. We produce less estrogen and other hormones, because remember, our body is now in the process of slowing down, so to speak. We are no longer in the baby making, baby craving, baby wanting stage. So we are in this period now where we are going into another dimension of life. So we become less fertile, and we have shorter and more irregular menstrual cycles. So it signals the start of menopause, and it could last anywhere from 2 years to 10 years. Saying that someone becomes less fertile during perimenopause, it doesn't strike that person from becoming pregnant at all if they're sexually active. So please note well. And 12 of the most common perimenopause symptoms. So of course we have period changes because remember we're not so regular anymore. So if your period would come like clockwork, sometimes it might come now and then next 2 months might skip and then come back. So it's getting less regular now because we're not producing as many eggs as before. Hot flashes, trouble sleeping, fatigue, forgetfulness, vaginal dryness, mood changes, low libido or low sexual urge, sexual drive, urinary challenges, dry skin and hair loss, heart palpitations, and weight gain. So let me call them again because you all can't see what I'm saying. I'm going to call the common perimenopause symptoms again. So we have changes in the menstrual period. If you were like clockwork all the time, it becomes a little more irregular now. Hot flashes, trouble sleeping, fatigue, forgetfulness, vaginal dryness, mood changes, low libido, urinary challenges, dry skin and hair loss, heart palpitations, and weight gain. I'm seeing somebody ask an interesting question. What's the youngest age for menopause? That's actually a good question because there is no exclusive age. Trinidad and Tobago suffers from a lack of research. So you would notice when you are looking into a particular topic, if you look for research in Trinidad and Tobago, there's little to nothing. We always see what the Americans say. So in my research, it begins at around 51, that's menopause. Menopause in women in the US begins at around 51 at an average. So if we are saying then that this happens 2 to 10 years before menopause, if we do our mathematics, it would take us to somewhere in our early 40s. However, women who started their period early in life, sometimes at work when I'm taking part in the antenatal clinic and we ask women, so when did you start having your period? When someone comes and they say, taking your obstetric history from them, when did you start having your period? When was your first menarche, as we ask? Some people at age 8, some people as early as 9. But the average age for first menarche is 10 to 12. But I want you to know that the younger you would have started with your period is the earlier you will experience menopause. And that's just the way it is. Right? So I hope I answered your question. So what really, go ahead, sorry, Crystal.
I hear a lot of women complaining about hot flashes at night, you know, and experiencing the worsening of moods.
Severity of mood swings.
Right.
So we will get to that.
Right.
I have that on this current slide here. What causes perimenopause? Because we have to, as women, okay, you have to experience your first menarche, your first period. Then you may or may not experience childbearing. After which we have perimenopause. This is signaling, okay, I'm getting ready for menopause now. And then we have menopause. So it's a cycle all of us have to go through in life. But what really causes, right? Somebody's asking, what can you recommend for hot flashes and sweating at night? I'm coming to that. So perimenopause is a natural process caused when your ovaries gradually stop working. Ovulation may become erratic and then stop. The menstrual cycle lengthens and flow may become irregular before your final period. So remember, I said that before. So if you were always on like clockwork, every 28 days, my period is coming, I could count on it. It becomes more erratic because the ovaries stop working. They're beginning to stop doing what their function really was supposed to do in the first place. So the symptoms of perimenopause are caused by changing levels of hormones in the body. And we know that the primary hormones involved in the menstrual cycle are estrogen and progesterone. So they're saying when estrogen is higher, you may have symptoms like you might have with PMS. When estrogen is low, you may have hot flashes or night sweats. So I'm going to go over that again. When estrogen is higher, you may have symptoms like those that you experience during PMS. When estrogen is low, you may have hot flashes or night sweats. So how do we treat perimenopause? Everybody is concerned about these hot flashes. Do you know that there are some women who don't even experience it at all, and I count them as the lucky ones? Perimenopause doesn't need to be treated unless the symptoms are bothersome, because just like with PMS, some women aren't really affected. But for those who are, we have some solutions for you. So treatment of perimenopause may include hormone therapy, and hormone therapy is using estrogen or estrogen and progestins to level out the hormone level. So remember, I just spoke about that, the fact that the estrogen and the estrogen high or estrogen low would cause certain symptoms. Right, so a doctor can prescribe hormone therapy for us, for those of us who are so interested because of how we feel based on the estrogen hormone level, and antidepressants to stabilize your mood. I don't want to get into that too heavily because doctors prescribe medication and nurses administer. So this is definitely something that you need to speak to your doctor, your practitioner about, if you feel that your mood really needs help with the use of medication. Because then with that, we have the addition of becoming dependent upon. And nobody really, all how, everybody says mental health, and we need to accept and address people who experience mental health issues. It's still something of a taboo subject. You wouldn't go out there and just tell people, I'm on medication for depression because I was experiencing some symptoms of menopause and it was affecting my mood and I had to be on medication. That's not something we discuss openly at all. So that's something I would say as a last resort, so to speak, with respect to the prescription of antidepressants. So your healthcare provider, so we discussed the medication aspect of it, which was the hormone therapy and the antidepressant. So now let's look at some lifestyle changes that we can initiate to help with perimenopause symptoms. So it comes back to the same thing again. Eat a healthy diet with fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Get at least 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of calcium each day through your diet or supplements. Exercise regularly, and I would say regularly in this case, 30 minutes at least 4 times for the week. Find what triggers your hot flashes. For example, alcohol, coffee, or tea. So you're finding that by keeping a record, or you can have a food diary. Okay, so I would have had this for breakfast today, and I realized that after having that, about an hour later, I experienced hot flashes for about 2 hours. But I had alcohol, or I had coffee, or I had this. So you have to try and keep a little track, keep a record. And when you're going to your doctor, you can carry it and let the doctor see. It comes like when we tell hypertensive patients, check your blood pressure morning and evening and come with your logbook and let's see what the trend is. It's the same thing with that. So you're keeping a little diary. Alcohol, coffee, tea, etc. Anything that may trigger, that you think is triggering these hot flashes, and your doctor will guide you as such.
So,
And mhm,
sorry, our diet can cause hot flashes?
definitely it can trigger,
Okay, okay.
certain feelings.
Mhm,
Correct, correct, correct. So discuss the use of other treatments in relieving symptoms with your healthcare provider, because you know what could work for person A may definitely not work for person B. There's this
True.
nurse that I work with. Hmm. We've worked together for a number of years and we just started back working together recently. And that lady has been experiencing hot flashes for years, 4 years,
Mm,
you know. So she swears by evening primrose.
yeah.
So we'll get to that when we reach to menopause. We'll get to that. She swears by that. But sometimes she's sweating bullets at work and everybody else is cool as a cucumber and she's sweating bullets. So it totally depends on what is okay for you as an individual, what works for you. If anyone, Crystal, do you have any questions before I move over to menopause?
Um, does stress also increase your symptoms? So you
Of
should decrease
course,
your
of
stress levels.
course, of course, of course. That
Right.
goes without saying. It worsens the symptoms,
Right. So
right?
we will have to find ways to
The
decrease
stress,
that too as well.
the stress, most definitely, most
Right.
definitely. So I can move on to menopause,
Sure.
right? So menopause. We have women of many different age groups, different categories in this group. So there are those like myself. So I begged in this commission. I said, come, you have to come on this live with me, you know, because you are in menopause stage and you've passed and you've experienced certain things. So you are the one
Right.
to give me the backing where menopause is concerned, because I'm not there as yet. I haven't reached there as yet. Unfortunately, she isn't here, but I hope to answer all the questions on menopause. So what is menopause? Menopause is the time that marks the end of your menstrual cycle. So you see, perimenopause was signaling the end. Menopause is the end of it, the end, the end. It is diagnosed after you've gone for 12 consecutive months without a menstrual period. Menopause can happen, right? So this person, you see, menopause can happen in your 40s or 50s. Remember, we touched on that a moment ago. But the average age is 51 in the United States. Menopause is a natural biological process, but the physical symptoms such as hot flashes and emotional symptoms of menopause may disrupt your sleep, lower your energy, and affect your emotional health. We all would have experienced a sleepless night at some point. And when you get up the next day, they didn't really sleep to them. You get up the next day cranky. So imagine having days or weeks of sleep disruptions, because this is what menopause does. So somebody had asked the question, Crystal had sent it to me earlier. Does menopause cause mental illness? It can certainly contribute to it. Think
Right.
about it. One night of a lack of sleep, you probably went to a party, you went to a fete or something, or you probably had a bad dream and you couldn't go back to sleep. You come to work and you feel horrible. You're cranky with everybody. You don't want to speak to anybody, and everybody realize, quote unquote, you're not in a good mood. That is not the word I want to use, but you're not in a good mood. Imagine days and weeks of that with respect to menopause.
Wow.
So I have the 34 symptoms of menopause. I won't call out 34 symptoms, but most certainly I will just pick out at least the top 10 or 12. Hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, mood swings, anxiety, irritability, panic disorder, joint pain, itchiness, burning mouth, digestion changes, thinning hair. Remember, I touched on osteoporosis a bit before. Weight gain, memory lapses, concentration lapses, and we also have incontinence. That's the inability to hold your urine. So imagine there are pads for women for that reason. Women who have problems controlling their urine output. Imagine how embarrassing that could be. You're a grown woman and you can't even laugh too loud or laugh too hard, or somebody crack a real sweet joke in the office. You had to kind of remain serious because incontinence is a problem with menopause. So I'm hoping that Crystal could share the PowerPoint so that you all can get and have this information on hand to probably share with others. So we also have muscle aches, disrupted sleep is what we just spoke about, brittle nails. All right. So how do we treat that? They are saying here that menopause requires no medical treatment. Instead, treatments focus on relieving your signs and symptoms and preventing or managing chronic conditions that may occur with aging. So treatment, what can we use? We can use hormone therapy. Estrogen therapy is the most effective treatment option for relieving menopausal hot flashes. I'm going to say that again. Estrogen therapy is the most effective treatment option for relieving menopausal hot flashes. Estrogen also helps prevent bone loss. And remember, we just spoke about osteoporosis. So you need to talk to your doctor about the benefits and the risks of hormone therapy and whether it's a safe choice for you. So you go into your doctor and saying, I was part of a little discussion the other day and this touched on hormone therapy, more particularly estrogen therapy. I'm having a real problem with hot flashes, doctor. How does that help me? Another one is vaginal estrogen. Well, this was new to me too. To relieve vaginal dryness, estrogen can be administered directly to the vagina using a vaginal cream, tablet, or ring. This treatment releases just a small amount of estrogen, which is absorbed by the vaginal tissues. It can help relieve vaginal dryness, discomfort with intercourse, and some urinary symptoms. And remember, those three issues, the dryness, the discomfort with intercourse, and the urinary symptoms, these are altogether quite embarrassing for females to even admit, for us to even talk about. So the fact that we have something, vaginal estrogen, which can be applied, this is something that I would consider a good medical breakthrough. Low-dose antidepressants. A low-dose antidepressant for management of hot flashes may be useful for women who cannot take estrogen for health reasons, or for women who need an antidepressant for a mood disorder. So we know that aside from menopause and its associated symptoms, some people really experience mood disorders that have them either very high or very low. So the low-dose antidepressant is good for two reasons. For women who simply cannot tolerate the estrogen for their own reasons, and to improve your mood if you are experiencing it, or if you suffer from a mood disorder. Medications also to prevent or treat osteoporosis. Depending on individual needs, doctors may recommend medication to prevent or to treat osteoporosis. Several medications are available that help reduce bone loss and risk of fractures, because as we know, as we age, our bones become even more brittle. Prior to coming down to Point Fortin to work, I spent a number of years working in the orthopedic department at San Fernando Hospital. And the older you get, your risk of fractures increases. So we had a lot of elderly people. I was working on the male section of the ward, not the female. We had a lot of elderly males. You sustain a fall, trip on something, you fall, you break a bone. So as we get older, our risk for developing fractures increases, and more so with women. So your doctor might prescribe vitamin D supplements to help strengthen your bones. Before deciding on any form of treatment, though, you should talk to your doctor about your options and the risks and benefits involved with each. Review your options yearly as your needs and your treatment options may change, because we know our bodies change all the time. But what can we do? You see, the hot flashes, that's a major issue. So we have lifestyle and home remedies now I'm going to get into. I just did medicine. So fortunately, many of the signs and symptoms associated with menopause are temporary. Take these steps to help reduce or prevent their effects. So I'm seeing here cool hot flashes. Cooling the hot flashes. What we do? Dress in layers. Have a cold glass of water or go somewhere cooler. So the same nurse at work I was telling you about, she's always with her very huge bottle of water. She's toting this bottle all over, and she has her bottle and she has her water to drink at any point in time to keep herself cool. Try to pinpoint what triggers your hot flashes. For many women, triggers may include hot beverages, caffeine, spicy foods, alcohol, stress, hot weather, and even a warm room. So we know that menopause with it brings this predisposition for us to experience hot flashes, but there are triggers. And these triggers could include, I'm going over it again, hot beverages, caffeine, spicy foods, alcohol, stress, hot weather, and even a warm room. So you have to observe yourself, know what triggers you, know what environment you cannot be in, and operate accordingly. To decrease vaginal discomfort, they said, try an over-the-counter water-based vaginal lubricant or a silicone-based lubricant or moisturizer. Because even though you as a woman in menopause may experience decreased libido, what about your partner? Remember, if you're in a relationship, you can't expect every time the person comes to you, you just bat them away. Remember, a relationship is a two-way thing. So you have to try different methods. What I saw online, KY jelly, I don't know of any other local thing, at least they would sell in Superfarm or any pharmacy, that is a water-based vaginal lubricant that can help to decrease this vaginal discomfort that we experience in menopause. Staying sexually active, remember I just spoke about that. It also helps with vaginal discomfort by increasing blood flow to the vagina. So you may not really want to, but when you think about, okay, it will increase the blood flow and I wouldn't feel so uncomfortable down there, give it a try. Talk to your partner. Remember, it's a two-way thing. Get enough sleep. Avoid caffeine, which makes it hard to get to sleep. And avoid drinking too much alcohol, which can interrupt sleep. So they said avoid caffeine, but remember, some of us, you must have this little coffee fix. You must have it. Maybe you can alter the time of day that you have it. Maybe you can have it a little earlier in the day, so that you wouldn't be having it so later on in the evening, so that it would affect your sleep. Yeah, and with respect to alcohol, can reduce. So we're not trying to make you totally change yourself, but at the same time, we want to minimize these symptoms. Exercise regularly, there's that again. Get regular physical activity or exercise on most days. I said 4 days for the 7-day week, to help protect against heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, and other conditions associated with aging, because remember, menopause affects women who are aging. We are getting older every day, whether or not we want to admit it. So therefore, regular exercise would help prevent some of these non-communicable diseases that have become so rampant For example, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure. The practice of relaxation techniques. Techniques such as deep breathing, paced breathing, guided imagery. When people come to the health center, sometimes we tell them that especially those who have white coat syndrome. Where's white coat syndrome? Every time you come to the health center or the hospital or any medical facility, that's when your blood pressure goes sky high. So all the time in the book, when you come with your logbook, we will see the trend. Nice BPs you're experiencing at home. But suddenly when you come to the health center, it's bacchanal, your blood pressure high, high, high. That's called white coat syndrome. And we tell them, okay, sit down, relax, take some deep breaths, and we encourage you to picture something nice. Think about, a nice picnic with your family. That is what we refer to as guided imagery. Massage and progressive muscle relaxation may help also with menopausal symptoms and fall under the category of relaxation techniques. Strengthen your pelvic floor. So pelvic floor muscle exercises, which are called Kegel exercises, for those of us who will have experienced childbirth already, or probably into fitness, you know what Kegel exercises are. You can do, they always show off and tell us you can do Kegel exercises while you're sitting down watching TV. So you're just strengthening your pelvic floor muscles by doing this tightening and releasing, so that will help with the incontinence, to relieve or to improve the incontinence that some women experience. Eat a balanced diet. So you're including a variety of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. As I like to tell clients at work, I'm not going to send you to go and buy apples and strawberries and grapes. You see, our natural fruits in Trinidad and Tobago, our watermelon, oranges, pineapple, things that we have right here, you including that variety in your diet. So you're trying to limit your saturated fats, oils, and sugars. And you can also ask your provider, your healthcare provider, if you need calcium or vitamin D supplement to help meet your daily requirements. Don't smoke. Smoking increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, osteoporosis, cancer, and a range of other health problems. It may also increase hot flashes and bring on an earlier menopause. You may have heard of or tried other dietary supplements, such as, I'm seeing red clover, kava. I don't know if these things are foreign or local. I know about the evening primrose. They have evening primrose oil, and wild yam. Wild yam, they have in bracket here, it's a natural progesterone cream. So scientific evidence on its effectiveness is lacking. And some of these products may not really agree with you. It might be harmful, in fact. So these are things to use with caution, But I know this talks about this evening primrose oil. She can't do without it. And this is what helps her. Because remember, even though things are naturally occurring, we don't know of what concentration of whatever it has in it. So this is why we advise these things with caution. We advise their use, but with caution, right? So this brings us to the end of lifestyle and home remedies with respect to menopause. Thanks for listening. It brings me also to the end of the presentation. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I'm open and I hope I can answer your questions.
Anyone has any more questions that they would like to ask at this time? Okay. Well, I hope that the session was informative and helpful to everyone. And Ms. Ayana, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to educate us. Oh, look, there's a question coming in.
So can I read the question? I'm going to read it aloud. Have you noticed in the clinic women complaining of late periods? Myself and a few women I know missed our cycle for a month or some a month and a half. Do you think it's a vaccine or something else? I like to be honest. I have a really good friend. She had her vaccine. She took AstraZeneca. I too took the AstraZeneca vaccine. So which means we got our vaccines early in the game. And she was telling me, Ayana, I had the worst symptoms. I said, what were your symptoms, girl? Girl, I had vaginal pain. My monthly went off kilter for about 3 months. And I met quite a number of women who had that same complaint. So it went off kilter for a while and then it came back. But remember, there are women also who didn't even take the vaccine. So for those of us who were vaccinated, it had some effects on us like that with respect to our cycle. So yes, that was a good question. Thank you for it. And yes, it did affect different people differently. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm happy that the information was useful, and I'm begging Crystal to please share the PowerPoint on the group so that you all can have it. Yes, have the information, and I have the references up so you all can go to the sites yourself. Because remember, PowerPoint is just an abridged version of all the information I would have had in a Word document. I just had to take it and shorten it for the presentation purpose. So I'm really happy. I had, Crystal had sent me before I say goodbye, because I know sometimes you may not even think about a question. And as when the live finishes, when you actually, oh gosh, you know, I should have asked Ayana this, I should have asked her. So let me not try to get away. Crystal had sent me some questions. So I'm going to ask the question, I'm going to answer the question because I did my own research. What causes severe pain during your period? Somebody asked that question. So during your menstrual period, your uterus contracts, and that helps to expel the lining or the blood that comes down. So hormone-like substances, which are called prostaglandins, involved in pain and inflammation, they trigger the uterine muscle contractions. So higher levels of prostaglandins are associated with more severe menstrual cramps. So prostaglandins also come into play, remember, when you having a baby, when you are pregnant and you're about to give birth. People like to tell you, you need to go and have sex with your husband, you know, go and have sex with your husband. You're going and doing that because the semen is full of prostaglandins. And this is what helps with the contractions, and it helps to bring down the baby. Yeah, so what causes the severe pain during your period? That's the contraction of the uterine muscles. Somebody else had asked, what can I do to control my emotions when I'm experiencing PMS? So remember, we did go through that. We had our exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management, and the use of antidepressants, which can only be with under the guidance of a doctor. Can menopause cause mental illness? Yes, and I have yes, bold capital exclamation. Yes, it can contribute to that. It can trigger certain things, and if not well controlled, yes, it can cause or lead to mental illness if not properly managed. Changes in your hormones during menopause can impact your mental health as well as your physical health. So you may experience feelings of anxiety, stress, or even depression. Menopausal symptoms may include anger and irritability. Can medication be prescribed if I feel like my emotions are out of control? Yes. Remember, this was answered during the presentation. Yes. And are there natural methods to managing my emotions or my anger while going through perimenopause? Yes, most definitely yes. So we didn't only focus on medication, we focused on stress management, exercise, using different means, lifestyle changes to assist with our symptoms. Crystal, I'm handing it over to you. I think I answered those questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Ayana. And thanks to everyone who was here with us. I hope that it was very informative. And that's it. Good night.
Pleasant night, everyone. It was nice being here, and all the best. I hope the information would help you and you would share it with others. Take care, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.